Good afternoon and welcome back to the Insight Teen Hour. My name is Frederik. I'm from Insight Treatment Programs here in Santa Clarita. And we're back. It's that time of the week where we're going to talk about teen mental health issues. We talk about mental health issues that is related to parents or parents of teens that are struggling. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Dr. Elena Michaels in the studio, a local psychologist from Santa Clarita, and she was talking about how we should connect rather than correct our teenagers. She was talking at the time with our clinical director, Giza, and they had some great conversations that we felt it was important to sort of follow up on. And therefore, today in the studio, I've invited Dr. Elena Michaels, or Dr. Elena. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Frederik. It's nice to be back.
Great. And thanks for taking the time to come in here and give some advice to the parents out there in our communities. I think it's so important that we get some of the resources that are available in our community, that we get them on the show to talk about or give some advice, right, to parents out there that are struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I really appreciate your time and effort.
Sure, absolutely.
But I know... Yeah, please.
Go ahead. I was going to say, when I was on with Giza, there were a few things that we were talking about, and we were out of time. And so she said, I hope we can have you come back and talk about those things. So two of the things were, I'll just briefly mention them, and then we can go into them more deeply. You mentioned earlier about connecting. And one of the things, as not only am I a psychotherapist and a marriage and family therapist, but I'm a functional medicine doctor and a naturopath, as well as a clinical hypnotherapist, and also I'm a meditation teacher. So one of the things that we started to talk about that we ran out of time on was how the nervous system has two different aspects, and how most of us are not balanced out with our nervous system. And I want to talk about that. And the other thing I want to talk about is how food affects our ability to communicate with people, and why and how that works and what that looks like. So those are the two things I'd like to talk about, because both of them are important in relationships and the way we function. And as you know, parents need to be functioning well, because our kids are around us and they're picking up on our energy. And if we're scattered and frantic, they are scattered and frantic.
Absolutely.
If we're bouncing all over the place, they're bouncing all over the place. So one of the things that is really important is to be able to respond instead of impulsively react. And so that will tie into our conversation today about those two topics.
That's perfect. You're absolutely right. It is so important, right, that we as parents are in a good place so that we can be there for the kids, right? Otherwise, we will never be able to help them and support them and help them heal.
Right.
Great.
And so often, I would have parents calling me and saying, my son or my daughter is acting out, and, can I just bring them in and let them, can you help them? And many times it's the parents that actually need to be coming in.
Yes.
So that they can learn better communication skills with their teen, because their teen is just a mirror reflecting back to them their own imbalances.
So true. I've just been in it with a family today, actually, and it was really it was obvious that the teen needed support, of course, but in this case there was so much going on with the whole family dynamic, right? That it wasn't just us being able to focus on the teens and what she needs, but really to be able to work with the entire family and convince mom and dad that, hey, it all starts with you guys. You guys have to make the first important steps to show your teen the way, and to show that you understand that, hey, it's not just about you, honey. It's about all of us, right? We all need some support. We all need to take care of ourselves here and get to a better place to be able to support one another.
And that can be done as a family, which actually brings the family closer together, instead of, you, Johnny, are the problem, and we need to get you taken care of, and you need to see somebody because there's something wrong with you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's the identified patient, which is allowing the family to scapegoat the teen.
Yeah.
And whereas when the family can work together toward a goal, it's just the same as if you say, hey, we're all going to go camping this summer. How about, Johnny, you figure out everything, you pack everything, and you get with the experts and figure out what we need. No,
Yes.
it's like, let's all get together. We'll figure out what we need. We'll do it together. The journey will be fun. And then when we go camping, we'll all have participated in making it be a better trip.
Correct. And I feel often the kids are already dealing with so much shame around some of the poor decisions they've made, right? Whether it's their
Mhm.
self-harming behaviors, whether it's them acting out by being angry and making poor decisions that
Mhm.
way in school, or getting in trouble, or smoking weed, or, the kids
Right.
usually walk around with this big backpack of crap
Right.
on their back, right? And for us to tell them as parents, hey, you need to go to treatment. You've made some poor choices. Off you go. Go camping. That's usually what we see is that the kids will sort of start fighting it, right? They're gonna
Of
say, "Heck
course.
no, I'm not gonna what," and sort of show resilience against it, and
Yeah.
not buy into it. But whereas if it can be more of a family talk and say, "Hey, look, I really understand that you're struggling, but mom and dad are struggling in the same way. We need some guidance. We need some help. We understand we're part
Mhm.
of the solution. Let's all get together
Mhm.
and pack up our stuff here and get prepared for this trip, this journey that we're going to go and do together, right? It's
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
just you." So now I think
And
that's a great analogy.
yeah, and doing it that way actually creates bonds and togetherness that uh, didn't exist before.
Yes.
They just didn't exist because it was the parents were working or they're doing their thing, and the kids are going to school, but their friends are doing their thing or doing the online classes, whatever they're doing. So so often parents will say, well, he's just in his room alone all the time, or she's just in a room listening to music or talking to her friends on the phone. We don't really interact with her much. And she doesn't want to interact with us. Well, why should she? She's not interested in what dad's job is. She's not interested in, what mom's cooking for dinner. But if the family is interested in being better connected and wellness and being balanced, that's a whole different interest than what they're used to. It's
Yes.
kind of like go to the same camping place every single year. Who cares? We're
It
going to
didn't
go
work.
someplace different.
Yeah.
We're going to go to a different location. We're going to go someplace else. Let's learn about it together.
Yep,
You
and
see
I
what I mean?
that is so true. And I feel on that note, I feel a lot of the kids, they often have a history, right, of not being understood. They have so many camping trips before this one that were not successful, right? Where they
Right.
felt left alone, they felt that the parents didn't get them, they felt that they were alone with all their troubles, all their issues, and so. It's really important that they see the parents make that shift, that paradigm
Yes.
shift, right, and go into it with a different sort of approach and say, hey, look,
Right.
we are all in this. I finally get
Right.
it. I finally
Yeah.
understand what it is that I need to change as well. Often the parents have had two or three kids, right? And two of them have not seen any issues. They did not react in a big way. But then one of them is suddenly starting to show signs of struggling,
Mhm.
and is
Mhm.
reacting to a trauma or reacting to a
Mhm.
certain thing in their life in a different way than the two
Mhm.
others, right? So,
Mhm.
but no, very, very, very important with for parents to understand. Hey, look,
Mhm.
you need to be in a good place to be able to be there for your kids, and
Mhm.
you are part of the solution,
Mhm.
and your history or own own issue needs to be addressed
Mhm.
as you're addressing
So
your teens' troubles.
So let's talk about how to make that happen,
Yep.
okay? Because everybody knows about counseling. Everybody knows you go to a counselor, you go to a therapist, and you're given skills. Maybe you're given communication skills, or maybe you're told not to use blame statements, but I statements. I statements being I had people in my office. I had a couple in my office, and I said, I want to show you about I statements and how helpful they can be. And the guy said, I know what they are. I said, what are they? He says, you look someone in the eye. I said, well, that's great, except that's a good thing to do. But I statements are you don't use the word you. So a lot of people know about the cognitive stuff and going into therapy and communication skills, but I want to talk about how the brain works and why someone will go into a counseling session and seem like they understand everything. And the moment they walk out and get back home in the situation with their teen, they revert back on automatic pilot and they are the same as they were.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they don't remember what the communication skill was. They can't incorporate it. their brain isn't working. So I want to talk about how to get the brain working so that the new skills the family members are learning can be integrated into their brain function.
Yes.
Is,
That's,
okay, so
yeah, I'm all ears.
okay, so here we go. All right. Now, I want you to imagine a pyramid, okay? At the top of the pyramid is 12%, the tip. It's like an iceberg. The bottom is the most gigantic piece. That's what's running the show, okay? The bottom is the most gigantic piece. That's what's running the show. So that's about 88%, which is unconscious, so you don't know what's down there. The top part is the capstone. It's about 12%. So you do know what's there because people can hear what's going on in their head. They hear their own thoughts. But it's only 12%. The part that's running the show is that big piece down below, which is everything you've ever experienced, which is recorded in your mind, okay? But a lot of it isn't positive, and a lot of it is negative. It's bad parenting from when the parent was a child, bad parenting from when the parent made mistakes in the past, whatever. Most of it is not positive. Are you following me? Because I'm a very visual person. I'm actually describing a diagram.
It's perfect.
All right. So moving right along, dividing the 12% top capstone to the bottom is a membrane. It's a metaphorical membrane. There's really not one there, but I'm going to call it logic and reason. Logic and reason forms when a child is 3, 4, 5, depending upon how precocious they are. That's when they know Santa Claus really isn't coming through the chimney and the tooth fairy really isn't coming through the window. Okay? So logic and reason, ideally, you want everything filtered through logic and reason. So the top of the capstone, you want all that information that comes in to be filtered through logic and reason. Now, information comes in from the top of that capstone from 4 areas. The conscious mind, which is at 12%, the unconscious mind, which is the 88% that you don't know what it is, the physical body, which is the eyeballs in, and the environment, which is the eyeballs out. So right now, I'm in the eyeballs out of all the people who are listening to this because I'm in the environment right now. I'm not inside their body. I'm in the environment. I'm outside of them.
Yep.
Okay? Do you follow that? Okay. So from those 4 different areas, the body can take in 4,000 message units a second. I call them pixels. 4,000 message units a second. That's a lot of message units in a second. Let's give you a little scenario here. Dad comes home from work, and he's been working all day, and he's exhausted, and he's hungry because he worked through lunch. He didn't get a chance to eat lunch. On the way home, there's a lot of traffic. So he's coming home. He's tired. He's wiped out. He comes in the door. Mom says, "Oh, John, I got to tell you what happened today with Jimmy," and she starts. By the time he's come home, he's got more than 4,000 message units already going on because he hasn't eaten since lunch. He was caught in traffic. He's tired, so he's got the environmental message units coming in. He's got the physical body message units coming in because he hasn't eaten and he's tired. He's got the subconscious message units coming in, which are, here she goes again with a bunch of crap I have to deal with at home after a long day of work. And he's got his own 12% of his own head talk in his mind going, my God, can't I just get in the house and get situated and relax and take a shower and have a beer and relax a little bit? So he's overloaded. So what happens is logic and reason breaks down, and Dad goes on automatic pilot. Dad is on automatic pilot now, and automatic pilot is that 88% gigantic piece that has a whole lot of negative information in it. And he's like a robot. He's reacting the same way he always reacted, regardless of what the therapist told them last week in session on how to communicate with their son. It's over. He's reacting on automatic pilot. Now, how do you know you're an automatic pilot? You're either anxious, you're depressed, or you're in fight or flight. Any of those. Anybody who wants to get in the car and drive away to a small town where no one knows them is in flight, okay? Anyone who's arguing with anyone is in fight, okay? Anyone who's abusing their body is in fight. So if you're in fight or flight, anxious or depressed, any of those four, you're on automatic pilot. You are not in control. You're just spewing off things that you've spewed off before. Forget any new techniques that you learned in a session at Insight Treatment Center with your wife and your siblings, the siblings in the family, when the family came in. It's all out the window. And this happens over and over again. Why? Dad didn't take care of himself. Logic and reason breaks down with substance abuse, pharmaceutical drugs, not eating frequently enough, not eating enough protein. Dad didn't eat lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Maybe he grabbed a cup of coffee and a muffin at some quick stop place or something. Total carbs. Too many carbs, too much sugar breaks down logic and reason. Now, it breaks it down in the teen, too. So now we've got the teen on automatic pilot. Dad comes home. Mom's asking Dad, you've got to do something about what happened today with Jimmy or Johnny. And Dad's overwhelmed. And he says, I can't deal with this right now. Mom blows up. I'm here all alone all day long with these kids. You don't know what I'm going through. And they're fighting. And the son just goes, this sucks. I'm going upstairs. And he's lost in his video games. And then they get to come and complain how he isolates and goes to his room all the time. Well, why is he going to his room all the time? He's overwhelmed, Dad's overwhelmed, and Mom's overwhelmed. None of them have any logic and reason in place, and none of them are a master of their lives. They're all complete victims by their own doing.
Yep. That's why it's so important to get in control of that, right? And make sure that
That's
piece
right.
is
right.
working
So,
and functioning to 100%.
Yeah, that's right. And so Mom and Dad and their kids, I mean, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm a functional medicine doctor. Why? Because after being a psychotherapist, I saw that talking about it and teaching people techniques wasn't really cutting the mustard. Their brains weren't working.
Mm-hmm. So it's really not, in many of these cases, it's not a matter of obtaining more knowledge and knowing what to do in certain situations. It's really to make sure that you are able to react logically and that you're able to use those 12%. And yeah.
No, it's actually a matter of getting the knowledge so you know how to monitor your own body and get your body in balance.
Good. Yep.
Yes.
I
so
hear
it's
you.
getting a different kind of knowledge. It's getting a different kind of knowledge. It's not about what you're reading in the books because you can't remember and implement it anyway if your brain isn't working.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's about brain chemistry. Okay, now let's leave that for a second. I know we might need to go to a break pretty soon. You just let me know.
Correct.
When it's time to go
we
to
got
a break,
another
okay?
minute, so let's keep going.
Okay. let me see what I can cram in a minute. Okay. What I want to talk about when we come back is sympathetic dominance and parasympathetic dominance, and the two sides of the nervous system, and how if you don't balance your nervous system, you're a wreck and you're completely out of control. And everything that happens just puts you into a tailspin. It's like the domino is not just one domino. It goes down and the whole line all the way around the room falls down. You know, when you see those dominoes all lined up, that illustration.
Yep.
So when we come back, I'd like to talk about that because that's a very important piece of this. And this is very different than just traditional family therapy or psychotherapy. We're talking about a whole different game here, a whole different game.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds good. We will definitely come back to that and open up that debate. Maybe here in the end I can say, yes, I think what you're talking about is also very relevant to the teens, right? So parents have a tendency when they pick up the kids from school to say, hey, honey, how was school today? And they get the typical answer, it was fine, Mom. It's okay. they don't obtain a lot of information at that point in time, right? Because the kids are anxious after being in school all day. They're holding on to their emotions. They're hungry. They're tired. And again, as a parent, it's crucial also to be mindful of, hey, when is it that you can engage in this healthy dialogue when you're teens?
Right. And what are they eating? What did they eat at their snack time or their lunchtime at school?
Correct. I'm from Denmark, and in Denmark, I feel we have very different eating patterns. Here in the U.S., I feel that often, unfortunately, in the school systems, we often see hot dogs and burgers and these kind of things being thrown around, right, or a snack bar, or that's probably a whole discussion in itself as to how do we feed our teens in school while we expect them to take in learning and get smarter and be productive. But good. We better take a little break here. We'll come back in a couple of minutes and we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Elena Michaels here from Santa Clarita. Thank you very much.
The San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance is inviting everyone to bring their smile to the San Diego Zoo and the San Diego Zoo Safari for amazing outdoor experiences. Guests will have the opportunity to see amazing wildlife up close, enjoy wondrous entertainment after dark at the San Diego Zoo, or journey through the wild and wondrous terrain at the Safari Park. A visit to the zoo must begin with a stop at the newly opened Komodo Kingdom, home to a pair of the world's largest lizards, Komodo dragons. A few steps to the habitat next door, an immersive aviary modeled after a cenote bursting with tropical plant life and buzzing with numerous eye-catching species of hummingbirds and other winged beauties. From almost anywhere in the safari park, you can hear it, a roar that strikes deep in your chest. At Lion Camp, you can come eye to eye with these magnificent predators, equally impressive whether indulging in a catnap or strutting around their kingdom. Stop into one of the Safari Park's retail stores. Your purchases help support our conservation work worldwide. Learn more at stzwa.org.
A Royal Suite Home Furnishings has been family-owned and operated in Santa Clarita since 1978. They keep America working by stocking heritage-quality furniture made right here in the USA. With high-end design and thousands of fabrics to choose from, a Royal Suite offers a wide selection of furniture at incredibly low prices. Pay 0% interest with your approved credit for 12, 24, 36, or 48 months. See store for details. Visit A Royal Suite, massive showroom on Carl Boyer Drive near Sam's Club in Santa Clarita.
A Royal Suite. Sweet dreams. The Oasis treatment at the Ivy Day Spa begins with a gentle exfoliation, then rinsed away in warm showers. You're painted with a soothing aloe vera, shea butter, and coconut oil body mask. Then travel through the warm Hydro Cave chambers. The relaxation chamber completes your Oasis body moisturizing treatment with a pH balancing mist and a warm cup of tea. Feel refreshed, hydrated, and relaxed. Pamper yourself. The Ivy Day Spa, Town Center Drive.
Your hometown station.
As soon as I leave my house in Saugus, I always turn on KHTS for the latest traffic updates.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. Our dreams, and they are made out of real.
You are listening to the Inside Teen Hour on KHTS 98.1 FM. And here in the studio today, I got Dr. Elena Michaels, who has just informed me she's actually run a show here prior to us being here. So she's a pro on this. She has a lot of great information. And we'll continue our chat here about food and nutrition and the nervous system. So, Dr. Elena, what did you say about food and the kids coming home from school and parents sort of wanting to engage with the kids on how the school was day and sort of connect with the kids when they picked them up?
Okay, so one of the things that you talked about, Frederik, right before the break was you said, the mother picks the teen up from school and says, so how was school? And they say, fine, or they're on their phone in the back seat, or they don't even hear their mother or whoever's picking them up from school. Well, let's just look at that for a second. They've been in school all day long. They may not have slept well. They got up early in the morning. They had snack time. Their last meal was probably at noon. It's now 3:30 and you're picking them up from school. Their brain isn't working. So they're not even going to be able to answer the question, how was school today? All they're going to say is something to keep you from asking them anything else, because they don't really know how school was that day. If school was positive, maybe they'll say something. If school was negative, they might be stuffing something that happened, maybe an interaction with a classmate or a teacher. So a suggestion would be, hey, Johnny, okay, great to see you, honey. Listen, let's go get a snack. Or, here, I have a couple snacks for you in the car. And hand them a little bag of like apples and almonds. Let them eat something. A snack is not stop at Starbucks and get a latte and a muffin or a sweet roll. That is not a snack to get your child to talk to you. That's a snack to get them to go home and want to sedate themselves in front of a computer screen, a video screen, or in their room alone. Because that kind of a snack is going to overload their pixels. Remember I said 4,000 message units a second, right? It's going to give them more than 4,000 message units a second. They're going to get on overwhelm, and they're going to have their logic and reason breakdown, and they're going to go on automatic pilot, which is anxious, depressed, fight, or flight. What's a video game? Flight.
Mm-hmm.
What's going in your room and listening to music? Anxious or depressed? Or, by the way, fight or flight can be internal or external. Let me tell you about that. Internal fight is Colleen goes into her room and flops down on the bed and looks at herself in the mirror and says, I'm so fat. Or how come my body doesn't look like the other girls that are so pretty at school? She's being abusive to herself verbally. That's fight. Mm-hmm. That's internal fight. External fight is she's actually going to be snotty and fighting with family members. But internal fight is talking abusively. Adults and parents, and teens. I'm talking about a human being talking negatively to yourself is abusive. Okay? So that's fight or flight can be internal, like I just talked about, or external, where you're actually fighting with a person, or you're argumentative, or hard to communicate with. Internal flight is F-L-I-G-H-T, is not standing up for oneself. So let's say something happened at school. Somebody pushed her, or somebody said, "Ew, you're wearing that dumb sweater? Where'd you get that? Goodwill?" Teens can be cruel, right? Mm-hmm. And she doesn't say anything. She just stuffs it. So she's disappeared on herself. Flight, internal flight. External flight is she's going to go to her room and hide, stay away from everybody, stay away from her family, not talk to anybody. Parents do this too. When parents are arguing, I always tell them, if one of you is getting out of control and raising your voice, and the other one is starting to feel overwhelmed and that they're going on automatic pilot, stop the conversation. Go, because you're going to go into flight or fight. Just say, you know what? I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. I need a break. Give me 15 minutes. I'm going to go outside, breathe, and walk. I'll see you at the kitchen table in 15 minutes. You always have to say when you're going to come back. You can't just say, I can't take this. I'm getting out of here. I can't stand it when you yell at me, because when you walk away, the person who's yelling is going to yell louder and become more angry. You have to say when you're coming back, and you have to use an I statement, not you're yelling at me and you're making me upset. No. The I statement is, I'm feeling overwhelmed right now, and I need a break so I can think clearly. So I'm going to go outside and take a 15-minute walk. I'll be back in 15 minutes, and I'll see you at the kitchen table.
Yeah, that's great.
That works.
Yep.
That works for parents, spouses, kids, siblings. It works for everything. Okay, so you pick Johnny up from school. You give him a snack. You don't even ask him how his day was until he's eaten something, because he can't think straight until he eats something anyway. So you give him something to eat that's some protein, not carbs and not sugar and not caffeine that's going to jack him up. A lot of kids I know, their parents stop at Starbucks on the way home.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's disaster. And then, or maybe after dinner. So how was school today? After dinner a dinner is not pasta and a Pepsi or pizza. A dinner is chicken or fish or ground beef or a hamburger or vegetables with it. It's protein. Protein makes your brain work. If you're not eating protein, your brain's not working because logic and reason breaks down from lack of protein. That's one of the ways it breaks down. So if you want to be anxious and depressed and you want to go into fight or flight, don't eat any protein. Spend the day too busy to eat. Just drink a lot of coffee and have some snacks. And that's a recipe for going on automatic pilot. And automatic pilot isn't pretty. It's not pretty when people are reacting from automatic pilot. They're not responding, they're reacting. So let's talk about the nervous system. Okay, there are two sides of the autonomic nervous system. One is a sympathetic, one is a parasympathetic. Sympathetic dominant is where most of us are all the time. That's, I've got to go here, I've got to go there, I've got to make this phone call, I've got to go pick Johnny up from school, then I've got to make sure my hair appointment doesn't run late, then I've got to get my nails done, then I've got to come back here and take care of, the garage door guys coming to fix the garage. It's like busy, 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 okay? Parasympathetic is prayer, slow yoga, meditation, meditative walking. It's something that most of us don't do. As a result, we're in sympathetic dominant mode all the time, or most of the time. Sympathetic dominant mode is a recipe for disaster in relationships and child rearing. Mm-hmm. So how you get in parasympathetic is, by the way, I have a YouTube channel, and on the YouTube channel are free guided meditations that put you in parasympathetic mode. Anyone can go on there, subscribe, and listen. That YouTube channel stems from the fact that I did a weekly evening guided meditation in Valencia every week for a few years until we had the COVID pandemic. And then we stopped meeting in person. And my group said, what are we going to do? We need this. And so do it somehow. Dr. Elena, figure it out. So I did some on FaceTime Live, Facebook Live, and there was a lot of technical issues. Some of them were sideways, and I'd be saying, can you hear me? Can you hear me? And they'd be like, we don't care if you're sideways. Just start. We're so stressed out. We just want to go into parasympathetic mode. So, but now Facebook got a little political during the last year, and so many people got off of Facebook, and I got a lot of requests to just start a YouTube channel. And Facebook stopped allowing me to post the Facebook Lives on YouTube. So I just do it on YouTube, and then I put the link on my Facebook pages. But the YouTube is the best place to go. There's a new one every Wednesday. Now, when I did it with the group, I'm an intuitive. So when I did it with the group, I could pick up the energy in the room and I would know where to go because my guided meditations are never prepared. They're never a script, and I never know what I'm going to say. I just tune into who's listening or who's going to be listening, and that's how I know what to say. And when we met in the group, I would just be in the room and be able to tune into what was going on, and it would be just what everybody in the room said they needed because I was tuning into the group. So then I started, when I was doing it alone with just my cat and I in the living room, she may be audible on this audio also. She talks a lot, just like her mom.
Good, you guys are connecting.
And so now I was guided to pull the tarot cards and the angel cards. Now, the tarot cards I've been working with for many decades. I actually did a project in graduate school in using the tarot deck in psychotherapy. So I've been working with them for many, many, many years. So I will just open the tarot deck, and whatever falls out is what I talk about, and then I'll maybe pull an angel card or two. I just go by, whatever I'm guided to do, and then we start the guided meditation. If someone doesn't want to listen to that, every single meditation in the most recent months, I started doing this. I put a time in the description of when the guided meditation starts. This is a great thing to do as a family. This is a great thing to do with parents and their teens. This is a great thing to do with parents with each other because they're doing it together. They're going into parasympathetic mode together. The body cannot recalibrate and the body cannot heal if it is not in parasympathetic mode. The body cannot heal in sympathetic dominant, and it cannot rebalance in sympathetic dominant. That's why therapy, talk therapy, often doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Very much so. Yeah, no, absolutely. Very much so. Okay. Yeah.
And, so we have to balance our nervous systems. And everybody knows stress impairs body function. And when stress has a lot of adrenaline shooting in through the body and elevated cortisol levels, you can forget about having a harmonious household. And you can forget about having a harmonious relationship with your teen. That's why the parents have to make the change. I've had parents come into my office and say, well, we don't want to change our diet. Can't you just give them a natural herbal thing like Ritalin, only a natural version, or a natural antidepressant? Excuse me, you don't want to change your diet because you'd rather just have your kid get a Band-Aid? Your kid doesn't have a Ritalin deficiency. Your kid's biochemistry is off, and so is yours. Mm-hmm. So it's time to make some changes, and the parents have to do it, and it's for the best of them, too. Their relationships get better. The spouse's relationships gets better, and it puts everybody on board. They're all on the same wagon. So it's great. It's a great way to do it, but they have to be educated on how to do it, They have to be educated. It's not just, we're going to make dinner together. It's like we're going to make a balanced meal together, and we're going to make sure everybody's eating enough protein. And then after dinner, we're going to have a chat. How was school today, Johnny? Oh, then he's going to remember what happened in science class. Then he's going to remember what happened in history class.
Very true. I mean, I think about, definitely, it's about timing with these things, right? And talk to each other and communicate at the right times when we are able to stay in the logic and reason area, I should say, right?
Yeah. You don't want that breaking down. Now, the benefit of hypnosis and some of the guided imagery that I do on the YouTube channel is, if you could imagine, this is Los Angeles, the home of entertainment, okay? It's like we're all walking around with scripts and we're acting out our parts. We forgot that we're carrying the scripts. The scripts are that 88% gigantic piece that's the unconscious part. Mm-hmm. We're just acting out what's there. But this is a town of rewrites. So that can be changed. That script can be changed. But it can't be changed by that 12% part. It can only be changed by sneaking around and coming in the back door. And that happens during guided meditation, for example. The mind will not take in anything that is not resonating with the belief system of the person. So it's not like they're being programmed.
No.
It's, the mind will not take in anything that doesn't resonate with the basic belief system. So through the guided meditations, it starts to break down logic and reason and come in the back door and start to change those negatives into positives. When I talk about the negatives and the positives, everybody knows things about themselves. I know something about myself. I was always better in English than I was in math, okay? Mm-hmm. Always. So I know I'm not so great in math. But if I break down the logic and reason in a constructive way through guided meditation, get into a parasympathetic state, I can start to have thoughts that there may have been times that I was pretty okay adding things together or figuring out my taxes. And that starts coming around and starts to change that negative into a positive. And that's what can be done with every situation. Every negative situation can be altered a little at a time so that when the logic and reason does break down, we all have stress. As they say, shit happens, When that happens, there aren't so many negatives in there when you go on automatic pilot. Does that make sense to you, Frederick?
Yeah, absolutely. I see it as two lines of defenses, right? The first line of defense is to make sure that your nutrition balance is healthy, and that you sort of get some good eating habits and are mindful of how you feed your system, right? And then the second line of defense is basically to ensure that you are that when it goes to the default, right? So when we start acting on the basis of our experiences, what have you, then we're actually able to alter some of those experiences and have better sort of go-to places. And
Right.
Does that make sense?
Happens. You can't alter it from your conscious mind, though.
No, exactly.
That's why affirmations don't work. That's why when you look in the mirror and you say, I am a wonderful person and everyone loves me, a part of your brain goes, nah, 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 that's a lie.
Correct.
You know your neighbor can't stand you.
Exactly. No, absolutely.
So that's why you can't do it from your conscious mind. You have to come around the back door and sneak in by going into parasympathetic activity and allowing yourself to do that, dump the junk, as a couple of the women in my meditation group used to call it. It's dump the junk time.
Dr. Elena, I'm sorry, we have to go into a little break here. You're listening to KHTS 89.1 FM, and this is Frederik speaking from Insight Treatment Programs. This is the Teen Insight Hour.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow, here to tell you about my Giza Dream bed sheets. I made sure that they would be everything you'd ever want in a sheet set. I started with the world's finest cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region where the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, and the Mediterranean Sea all meet. The long staple cotton makes my Giza Dream sheets ultra soft and durable. They come with extra wide pillowcases to fit over any pillow and extra deep pockets to fit over any mattress. Not only that, they come with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. And now you can get the best sheets ever for the best price ever. When you buy one of my Giza Dream bed sheet sets, you'll get another one absolutely free. I personally guarantee that they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Save water and save money. SCV Water wants to help you find your fit and take advantage of conservation rebate programs that will help you save. Water your landscape more efficiently. Replace your lawn with water-wise plants. Conduct free in-home water surveys. Cover your swimming pool and more. Find the programs that fit your needs and start saving today. Visit conserve.yourscvwater.com to learn more.
That's conserve.yourscvwater.com.
It's time to enhance your natural beauty and well-being at Hestia Medical Spa. Feel as good as you look with services that include body sculpting using the most up-to-date technology, including high-intensity focused ultrasound. Choose from a long menu of services like IV therapy, which is a great energy booster, combats dehydration, boosts your immune system, and conquers hangovers. Experience rejuvenation at Hestia Medical Spa, located on Valencia Boulevard next to City Hall. Call 753-3434 or go online at hestiamedicalspa.com.
KHTS, your hometown station.
There's no combination of words I could put on the back of a postcard. No song that I could sing, but I can try for your heart. And our dreams, and they are made out of real things, like a shoebox of photographs with sepia tone loving. Love is the answer, at least, for most of the questions in my heart. Like, why are we here?
Good afternoon, and welcome back to the Insight Teen Hour. We are here today to talk about issues that is related to teens' mental health. And today we got Dr. Elena Michaels in the studio, who's talking to us about nutrition and how we make sure we stay in a healthy balance, and how we can be there for our kids in a better way, how we can show up for our kids when we need to in a much better way. But Dr. Elena, we spoke shortly about how important it is with the nutrition and to make sure the kids eat when we pick them up from school. We also know that in the lives that we're living, it can be very hard to change these behaviors or these pattern of not eating healthy or grabbing a burger for lunch instead of or Starbucks, as you mentioned, instead of sort of eating a good piece of bread or a sandwich somewhere. When you work with your clients, how do you establish these new patterns? How do you sort of besides just telling them how important it is, how do you redirect them? How do you move from educating to actually making sure that your clients are also doing it, or that they try it out for a period of time until it becomes their habit?
That's a great question, Frederik.
Thank you.
Well, one step at a time. One step at a time. That's what we do. One step at a time. First of all, everyone's situation is different. But one thing that is really important for people to understand is there are certain foods that are inflammatory, and when people eat inflammatory foods, which are also addictive foods, when they eat inflammatory foods, which are also addictive foods, they compromise their logic and reason, and they go on automatic pilot. Let me break that down for you. Some of the addictive foods are caseinamorphins and gluteomorphins. The last part of the word is morphine. So they're very hard to get off of, because when people get off of them, they don't feel great. It's like stopping smoking or stopping coffee. You kind of go through a couple of days of a little bit of a detox because your body's craving that thing. It's addicted to it. Mm-hmm. So gluteomorphins are in dairy products. Caseinamorphins are in grain and flour products. So since everyone is different, let me give you this metaphor. I like metaphors a lot. Let's say your house burns down. Okay? So can you just move in new furniture, or do you have to do some repair and clear out the damage first?
Absolutely. Get the damage done first. Clear it out.
You have to clear out the damage and do the repairs. And you might be ordering the new furniture and bringing the new furniture in a little at a time, too. So because of dietary gluteomorphins, dietary caseinamorphins, and inflammatory foods, the brain function has been damaged. So at the same time new foods are brought in, I work with people to specifically get their body chemistry balanced. I run blood tests. I do dietary assessments. I'm a functional medicine doctor. I'm a naturopath who also has a psychotherapy hat. So the thing is we can do everything simultaneously. I can find out what's going on with their system, and at the same time, we're changing their diet a little at a time, or a lot at a time, depending upon how fast they want to go and how quick they want to rebalance themselves. We can also do the repairs of the damage that's been done. So let's say that someone works all day long and they don't eat, okay, and they pride themselves on eating just dinner, because they're just a workaholic, or they forget, or the day flies by, or they love their work and they don't pay attention. I've had people set their phone alarm for every 2.5 to 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And when their alarm goes off, they have to eat protein. Not a cookie, not crackers, not a soda, protein, whether it's a beef stick. And I'm very specific. I'm not just like eat better. I'm very specific. Here's where you buy it. This is what it is. Here's how to get it. It's very clear. And a great thing to give your kid when you pick them up from school is a really clean beef stick from Whole Foods or Sprouts or the online market Thrive, which I give all of my patients the discount link for. Gives them an extra 25% off. But that's a great thing. It's 9 grams of protein. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole lot better than here's a Snickers, or let's stop and get a latte at Starbucks and you can get a roll. That's not going to help brain function. That's going to knock them out. That's what carbs do. They shut you down. They numb you out. I can see it in people's eyes. They're just kind of glazed over. And I know a lot of times parents will say they see that glazed over look in their kids' eyes.
Absolutely. We see it every day.
Addicted. The kids are actually addicted, but not to drugs, but to caseinamorphins and gluteomorphins, and the parents usually are too. So I always tell the parents, have you ever heard that expression, fill your own cup first?
Yes.
Then you can fill others with that?
Yes.
Don't be looking to fill your kid's cup. fill your own cup first so that you are centered and grounded and connected. Be an example. Don't just expect them to be an example for you and make them try and get their life together. You get your own life together.
Yeah, good
you
point.
Take care
Love
of
it.
yourself. You
Yes.
get yourself balanced. And then let your son or daughter see what you have accomplished and how much more present you are. Because chances are, if you're a busy parent, you're probably not too present.
No, correct. I'm sorry, Dr. Elena. I would love to continue this conversation, but we have to end. The show is ending in a minute here.
Okay.
For all the listeners out there, if they want to get hold of you, how do they contact you?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm under Dr. Elena Michaels. And you can find my website, which is being redone right now. But I'm easy to find on the web. Just go to the web and type in Dr. Elena Michaels, Naturopath Santa Clarita, Functional Medicine Santa Clarita. You'll find me. I'm easy to find. I've been out here since 1991.
Perfect.
You know, I'm not obscure.
Good. And we will get beef sticks at the inside at the program. And I want to thank everybody who has been listening today. Thank you very much for your time. And tune back in next week at 2 p.m. at the Insight Teen Hour.